is Lucas Spielberg.
And this is Ashley Spears.
And we definitely watch WGS-TV. When we're on it, definitely when we're on it. Yeah, really. Respect my veterans!
Greetings everyone, you have warped your way in from the tooth view into another installment of WGS-TV right here on youtube.com/Wrestlegamer. I am the Wrestlegamer, Double Beam Bully Boudreaux, and guys and gals, we're going to be talking about NXT for the week of July 8th, 2015. Now, something that kind of puzzled me right from the onset of this week's NXT was the fact that they were showing highlights from the Tokyo show, the Beast in the East show, but instead of showing highlights from Kevin Owens versus Finn Balor, since this is your NXT show, that this is your NXT Championship match, that they would show highlights from that on the NXT brand. Instead, they showed highlights from the overly hyped squash match between Brock Lesnar and Kofi Kingston, and again, people are still making a huge deal out of Brock Lesnar coming wrestling for the first time since WrestleMania and squashing Kofi Kingston in the New Day, and I'm still not sold on it. Despite the Tumblr guy, I'm still not sold on it. So, but what I did not know at the onset of NXT is the fact that they were going to completely replay that match of Kevin Owens versus Finn Balor from the Beast in the East Tokyo show. Hell, if they're going to show Brock Lesnar versus Kofi Kingston, I was going to shut NXT off right there. I'm like, okay, it would make no sense to show Kofi Kingston versus Brock Lesnar on NXT. None whatsoever. But however, replaying Finn Balor and Kevin Owens and how great that match was, and the fact that that match should have been the hyped match of the show instead of Brock Lesnar is, to me, a little bit disappointing, because that was best match of the night. And people just want to be overly obsessed with Brock Lesnar. And like I said, I'm not sold on it. I'm just not. But anyway, let's go ahead and get to the show. Dana Brooke and Emma would take on Sasha Banks and Charlotte. The reuniting of the Mean Girls is what they called it. The former BFFs in NXT. Sasha Banks and Charlotte. I need to learn to write my own, read my own notes on here, and especially since it's on a laptop. It was a great match, and again, give divas a chance, and they put on great matches. And I get the feeling that these NXT divas, or as the John Johnson once said on Sports Entertainment Tonight, and I'm still waiting for them to send me that show from the show I did on Sports Entertainment Tonight, and I'm not talking about Nick Fuquay and Mark Trahan. I'm not talking about Katie Anna Opa Channel, who seem to be taking their sweet time. So to reference them, the John Johnson said to reference them as divas would be almost of an insult. That they should go back to the original term, women's wrestlers. And I agreed with them on that one. Banks would end up locking on the Banks statement on Dana, while at the same time Charlotte went for the figure 8, which is her version of the figure 4, with a bridge on Emma to pick up the win. Then after that, Charlotte said, "You know what? You owe me one, and I want an NXT Women's Championship match on the next week on in NXT," and it has been made official. It has been made official that it will be Sasha Banks versus Charlotte for the NXT Women's Championship. And if this is structured properly, I want this to be next week's main event, because it has the capability, and it has the chance to be the main event, and they've done it before, and I want to see it again. Now, what they did with Marcus Louis, you know, the guy that goes, is something stink around here? Taking on Solomon Crow. You know, ever since they signed on Sami Callihan and turned him into Solomon Crow to NXT, he really hasn't done much. But then again, he probably hasn't had the opportunity to do much. there is a difference between doing something and having the opportunity to do something. And I don't think he hasn't been presented with the opportunity to do something yet. It was an okay match. The ridiculous face of Marcus Louis was almost laughable. You know, just everywhere he's like, something stinks. And it was... Honestly, I don't know what they're doing with Marcus Louis. I honestly don't know. He didn't even come out to any entrance music. He was just out there going everywhere. Solomon Crow ended up locking on his version of the stretch muffler. They called it the Crowbar on Marcus Louis to pick up the win. And then the main event for this week's NXT, it was the #1 contendership match, between the tag team contendership match. I need to learn how to control what I say. The Vaudevillians taking on Enzo Amore and Colin Cassady. Great tag match. It was honestly a really good tag match. And I loved how Corey Graves on commentary was just constantly digging on both tag teams. You know, playing the part of a perfect heel commentator. JBL. I wonder how many of you guys out there can will actually put 2 and 2 together and understand why I made that reference. Because JBL hasn't been a good heel commentator as of late. Corey Graves has actually outshined JBL, in my opinion. And if anything, I think Corey Graves would be much more suited to be on Raw. He's really improved his commentary skills, just like Byron Saxton has, and has really started to prove himself. And I really want to see what he can do now on a live setting, because on his very first night in NXT as a commentator, on a live setting, he wasn't very well experienced as a commentator. It was his really very first time doing it, but ever since then, since February, he's really made huge strides in doing his commentary, especially as progressing himself into a heel commentator, and he's done a magnificent job of that. And here's my personal opinion: if they don't want to get rid of the 3-man team, here's something you can do. And it's not meant to be disrespectful to JBL, but JBL needs to go, because he just doesn't have what he used to have, in my opinion. And they need to put Corey Graves in his place. And if they don't want to put Corey Graves in his place, and they don't want to go with a 3-man team, a 2-man team would be much better. Now back to the match. After my little rant that I probably shouldn't have done, is the tag match. I gotta say, a lot of great spots in this match. The finish, it was English, Aiden English, countering Enzo Amore. Enzo Amore was going for a crossbody off the top rope. English countered it with a roll through, trapping Amore in a pin, and therefore now the Vaudevillains are now the new #1 contenders. And I'm starting to get into the sense now that the Vaudevillains term isn't meant to be that they're villains from vaudeville. They're just actual people from vaudeville, and they would term that as Vaudevillains. So, and I guess it was just a kind of ironic sense. When they first came in, they were kind of heelish, and they were calling themselves Vaudevillains, and a lot of people would probably associate their heelish gimmick with their name, Villains. But I think it's now completely the opposite. It's just the name of the fact that their gimmick is from vaudeville. And the fact that they changed up their music, and in English it would come out going like this. I guess. You know, I don't know what else to say about that. But anyway, overall score on NXT this week is going to get a 3.5 out of 5. It was a decent show. Best match is definitely going to go to the tag match, the Vaudevillains versus Enzo Amore and Colin Cassady. I definitely don't have a worse segment, because Bull Dempsey was nowhere to be seen on this show. Neither was Eva Marie. But I have heard rumors that she would be starting up sometime soon. And I hope that she didn't waste our time and Brian Kendrick's time. That's all I'm saying. So no worse match, no worse segment. Just best match, Vaudevillains versus Enzo Amore and Colin Cassady. Now, will they put the tag team titles on the Vaudevillains? I would like to see it. I really would like to see it. But anyway, what I want to know from you guys out there, the viewers and subscribers your thoughts on NXT this week. What are your overall scores? What are your picks for best and worst match or segment of NXT this week? I want to know what you guys out there have to say. Be sure to put your comments in the comments section below. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to check me out on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I got a new update for you guys. You can now send me questions to ask.fm. I will have the link to that in the description box along with the social media. So that way you guys can actually send me questions and I will answer them. You can ask me anything. Anything at all, and I will answer them on there as honestly as I can. And finally, guys, don't forget to check out 2 of the videos I have in the annotations at the end of this video. And also, don't forget, please subscribe. You can check out more of my content like this, like the reviews, discussions, Double B plays, Mid South Xtreme, Gulf Coast Wrestling. And all that stuff is right here on WGS-TV. If you want to see more of that, gotta hit that subscribe button. So, with that being said, I am the WrestleGamer. WW saying we'll see ya at the next Warp Zone, and it's focused elsewhere. You there, novice! Yes, instructor? Show me your striking. The novice gives it her best shot at. Let me give her the pump. I'm glad it does.